What's up, guys? Welcome back to the BlockHash Podcast. Before we jump into our episode, I have a quick message from our sponsor, Nitro Betting. Nitro Betting is a top Bitcoin and crypto betting site that allows you to place bets in casino games, sports books, racing, gaming, you name it. It's your money. You should be able to have fun with it too outside of traditional investing. So check out all the action at nitrobetting.eu. All links are in the description below. Enjoy the episode, guys. You'll hear more from Nitro Betting soon. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of BlockHash, exploring the blockchain, episode 355 here at my friend's studio, Studio Ilios, for today's podcast, as I set up a new podcasting studio in my new place over the coming week. So bear with us today. We have a few different looks and sounds and changes, but today we're going to have an awesome conversation with Michail. He's the CEO for Roam Network, and we're going to talk about blockchain, networks, decentralized networks, how these things kind of play together, what they're working on in particular, and what makes them very unique within the industry. Michail, welcome to the show today. Super happy and excited to talk to you. How you doing, man?
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, great to be on the show. So thank you for inviting me, and looking forward for a great discussion. So I'm sure your listeners are going to enjoy also this interesting talks where the industry is going and how we can actually add real value to the technology, which essentially is what we and all of the other projects are doing, right?
Right. Likewise. Yeah, it's going to be an awesome conversation. Before we jump into it, would love to learn more about yourself as well. Can you tell us a bit more about maybe your background and what you've done inside and out of the space, kind of leading up to working with Roam Network?
Yeah, so happy to share some of my background. So I'm a telco guy. I would like to say that I was a bit inspired by some of the good old freakers in the industry. There was this guy called Kevin Mitnick, which was kind of infamous in the 80s and afterwards. So and he was talking about breaking the telephone network. So I never did that. So full disclosure, but I think I had the same curiosity as him to actually understand how communication works and how people can actually communicate over large distances. And this is what I did. Actually, I studied telecommunication at technical universities, and I graduated, and then I followed my work to actually move to Finland back in year 2000, and I started working for Nokia Networks, as it was called at that time. The company, I worked for the same company for 20 years, almost 20 years, actually living in Finland and Germany, in my native country in Bulgaria, and back. During that time, I actually built some of the first 3G networks of the world. At that time, we were building those in Hong Kong and in UK. And I was actually involved in a lot of different evolutions of the telco space, from the fact that we started using cloud computing back in year 2010. Then we started to look into the M2M and then IoT technologies. And this was actually one interesting analogy for me. So I was actually looking how the technology is being called for technology name before it started to be a real business. This was for the last 10 years the case with the IoT technology. We used to call them IoT when it was no business. And the moment that we started calling them for what they are, like smart metering or smart lighting or track and tracing, then it became just a normal business. And I think now this is becoming the same with the Web3. The moment that we start to use the Web3 technology for a real context, for a real industry, then it becomes yet another tool. I mean, for us, and probably we can discuss it later, but Web3 is just a way to optimize an existing business model. And I think this is definitely needed because the existing models are not sustainable anymore. And this is what got me into the whole merge of telecom and Web3 technology. So basically the story how we can bring a constructive disruption, if you can introduce this term, because the story goes that, there is a disruption, but of course, it can destroy an existing ecosystem or industry, or we can actually bring it up. It can bring it to the next level of sustainability, next level of efficiency, so that everybody, from the users to the actual telco operators of the world, can actually benefit from it. And that's more or less our mission, or at least my mission now, to actually be able to use the technology for its right purpose and to create better use cases for everybody involved in a community way. So that's my definition of the Web3 so far.
That's awesome, man. How are you planning and working on taking Web3 and integrating that into networks and the things that you've worked on prior in the past? How you guys building that into the Rome network? What does it kind of look like?
It's that's the I mean, I would like to say $1 million, but maybe more questions.
Hmm.
Probably billion. So, I mean, the simplicity is that probably most of the listeners don't know what the reality of the telecom network is. So let's maybe just share some very high level description. So what happens is that you need to have of course, your smartphone. This concretely is an Android phone, but any phone works in the same way. And this phone actually has a way to measure how to communicate with the network. And what happens is that this phone measures in real time the communication parameters to know where to send the data over the so-called air. The air is for us an interface, and these are the so-called electromagnetic waves. And then the phones have a particular frequency that it uses as a carrier. So, and then inside that carrier we have a lot of frequency bands that we can use to transmit data. So basically, the phone communicates over the air to something which is typically on top of your house or on top of the building or in a tower.
Hmm.
This is the mobile tower. And then from there, it goes to a type of connection which is more or less like the internet. So that's the way how mobile networks have been working for quite a while. That's why they're called cellular networks, because each of those towers cover a particular cell, right? And the cells overlap with each other. If I can use my hands to show it. And this is how you get coverage when you move from one cell to another cell. Like you jump over or you hand it over. And the way how the networks work, of course, is that to build a coverage, you need to build a tower, and the tower spreads the network or spreads the radio frequency around the space. And of course, the different this frequency or the carrier is, the larger the cell or the smaller the cell, so that it doesn't interfere or doesn't block the other cells next to it. So this means in a let's take any of the cities of the world. Typically, we have tens of thousands of those cells overlapping with each other, which is, as you could imagine, is a very complicated network. I think most of the people would think about the network like if they actually in their kitchen and they see a lot of the kitchen lights interfering with each other, or actually putting some light on the kitchen counter, and you can imagine that if the light is not reaching all the spaces, there is some blank spot, and these blank spots are the problem of the mobile network. They have to be filled in so that people would have the coverage, or again analogy in the kitchen light, the actual line in all the possible spaces. And this is where, with the update of the technology from the 2G to 3G, now 4G, and then 5G, and whatever, 6G, there will be need for more spots to be filled in, because you need to have higher speed, you need to have higher quality. And this is where the networks need additional support. Sensing of the network from your phone, we can actually aggregate the data, we can analyze it, and then we can offer it to the mobile network operators or anybody else for that matter that can create an insight or can actually improve the network coverage for you. So what you're getting is that when you contribute by installing the Roam app and actually measuring the quality of the network near you, you're also getting a better network at the end, because the operators will be able to improve the network for you because you're their customer. On top of it, of course, you're going to receive some reward because you have contributed to create a better service, and this data and this service has some value to a paying customer, and we know who that paying customer is, and that's why we can actually analyze the data and offer it to them. So in essence, that would be a very simplistic way to describe how we are helping build a better network. So we'll be collecting the data from your sensor device, from your measurement device. We'll be actually analyzing this data and offering the data to a paying customer, which happens to be your mobile network operator. And they'll be able to get this data and create better service for you, and of course reward via us to you also for your contribution.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you for the
Does it make
overview.
sense, or is it too complicated? I mean,
No, makes
give me
sense.
some
Makes
feedback.
sense. So users use the Roam app, and on the Roam app, that data is what is contributed back, correct?
Yes, so basically for the data that you, or for the measurements that you create, or for the, we call them reports that you create,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to receive certain rewards.
Mm-hmm.
again in the planned Web3 mechanism that will be subject to market regulations. But
Hmm.
of course, we have to be careful what we disclose now. But I think we now know that in Europe, especially where we registered, the MiCA regulation stipulates what we can give and what not. So definitely want to make sure that whatever you receive is all according to the regulation that is allowed and possible.
Hmm.
And this reward you can actually you can use it, you can keep it, and you'll be able to use it even to create additional rewards for you, because you'll be able to perform additional tasks that would require certain level of expertise that probably would like more experienced users or users that have more interest to contribute to perform rather than just the people that are just quick speculators.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Is this something that's allowed in other countries as well, or is it just kind of like a country by country basis that you have to assess? Like, could you do this in the United States as well as in Europe, as well as in Asia, or are there certain places where this is a lot more difficult to implement?
I mean, no, for us the technology is quite straightforward. So
Okay.
what we're going to do in the beginning, while we evaluate what can be officially awarded to the users, we can distribute to the users type of a point system that we call credits. Again, nothing to do with a credit card, just call them credits. And of course, afterwards we can transfer them to the actual token of appreciation that is allowed per market of operations. Let's put it this way. It looks like we could be qualified as a utility or as a security token. It depends again on the market regulation. I cannot confirm it now. It's
Hmm.
subject to a lot of legal work still to be done, but we're positive that this would happen. And for the contribution that you collect anyhow, so all the credits, they will be transferable to the next step, which again we'll be disclosing when we have the actual information to be shared with the community for, yeah, to be certain about. Let's put it this way. Yeah, so it works everywhere. Just to confirm your question, the problem or the actual story is that this kind of data and this kind of value is non-transitant. So this means that there will be always need for high quality measurement and contribution from users, so that your local mobile operator can build better network for you. They don't have this possibility to do it themselves, and this value that you distribute is only going to increase in time, because the mechanism that we are now planning with a limited amount of value to be distributed means that yeah, the value is actually being burnt and disappears afterwards. So if you hold it now, you receive more, in the future a bit less, but still the value would increase, because it's a type of a value that doesn't come out of thin air. So that's the thinking. And again, the idea is planned that for the future tokenomics that we plan, we want to make sure that there is a fair reward to the users, and that the data that we collect and distribute to the paying customers is sourced in a sustainable way. And actually, this is also part of the proposition. Again, talking about what we can do around the world, and
Hmm.
I think everywhere in the world now people are concerned about sustainability and what happens with my contribution or my data, and even buyers of such data actually are asking how is this data sourced. And this is again part of, to answer your first question, part of the reason why we chose Web3 technology and why we are a Web3 project, because Web3 allows this kind of a sustainable redistribution of value between the community members. And for that, and for us, this is actually quite important. We really want to make sure that everybody in the ecosystem understands that consequences of their actions, and we want to educate even the buying customer that they should care about how this data is sorted, and not buying data from sources that is just taking it behind your back with before, I mean, without you actually understanding what is happening, without you getting anything in return for your services.
Absolutely. And I think, community in this type of project is very important, especially when you're building out an incentivization system that's going to make people use the application, use the mining devices for the internet. You want to build a huge ecosystem of users that continue to use it so it stays sustainable. So I totally agree with you on that, community being very important, how they're, properly incentivized going forward. Can you tell me more about the Roam infra as well? I know that your network miners are something that are coming soon. Curious what that's going to look like in terms of how it provides coverage and if it's similar to the Roam app in terms of its incentivization model as well.
Yes, it's a very good question because if you think about the logic, so okay, I know that in my place now the coverage is not that well because I'm only in 4G and I have certain levels of the signal that is low and signal noise ratio is low and I'm on a band that doesn't have enough bandwidth. So what's next, right?
Mhm.
What's next? So when the actual your local carrier detects that this is the situation and they see that there is enough customers that complain about it, so paying customers, then they have to do something.
Hey guys, quick message from our sponsor, Nitro Betting. Nitro Betting takes your desire for anonymity seriously and allows you to play without the need to worry about identity checks and personal information. It's a betting site, not an investment site, so you should be able to just have fun. As a top trusted Bitcoin betting site, Nitro Betting truly has got your back. Now, back to the episode, guys.
Same as the kitchen counter, if
Mhm.
we have a dark spot and the existing lights cannot shine light on it in the
Mhm.
right quality that you want, then what you do, you just put another kitchen light. And this is what the operators will do, just put another equipment that would actually be able to serve the users in this particular place that there is a bad service. And that comes the problem. So in 5G, in order to do that in a dense urban area, this is a very expensive exercise. So it actually costs fifty to $100,000 only to put the equipment in place. Sometimes even without the equipment price, because it's a very expensive to get permissions, very expensive to make the build, to put cables if needed, or to put microwave links for the wireless connectivity to the
Mhm.
mobile site. That's why the story of decentralization also comes as a matter of optimizing that investment. And the story goes that via their own infrastructure, the operator can actually allow a community built part of the network, like a community built 5G base station, to be operational and to be able to serve their customers and their traffic. And in exchange for the fact that the community member has actually built the network or built the piece of the network built in this space, then of course the operator can pay for the traffic. And this is a very straightforward business model which is already existing in the telco space, that the operators pay for this kind of infrastructure. It
Mhm.
actually is typically called active infrastructure sharing, and we actually have done further optimization on that active infrastructure sharing by adding the Web3 component. So the component of clearing the value between the parties, between the party offering the service and the party buying the service. And this is also what is visible if you check our YouTube channel. We have a short demo on that, which you can show how I can buy traffic from a 5G or 4G base station with my MetaMask with a wallet. A very simple demo. But the same technology can be used for the actual owner of the equipment, which again can be a community member, and the actual buyer of the traffic, which could be the local mobile operator, to exchange value.
Interesting. What does your guys' timeline look like for rolling out this stuff for the Roam network? You know, have you started rolling out some of the Roam infra as of yet, or is that like later on the time horizon? What do you guys want to kind of get accomplished here in 2023? I know we got like a couple months left.
Yes, so in 2023 we plan to focus on the Rome app
Hmm.
and the Rome analytics console. So this is the actual capability for the users to join the community with the minimum investment because they can just use the smartphone.
Hmm.
And the console the is the console that the paying customer can use to get access to the data and to the analytics that the data can provide for them. And we plan then to add to the console the additional capabilities for the operators to check and identify the spots that they would need the additional coverage, and based on that to add interaction so that the users can decide, if I want to invest more, I can buy a couple of thousand euros or dollars worth of equipment, put it there and sell the traffic. So this would happen next year. So we plan this year to focus on the console and on the app. Again, if you want to contribute more, now you can just, or let's say in yeah, in a couple of weeks now, so weeks and counting, you'll be able to download the ROM app, even be part of the initial Genesis type of users that will be able to get the app in specific markets, get all the information, all the data, learn how it works, and then continue working on supporting the ecosystem to build better networks by deciding to invest even more to get their own infrastructure node up and running.
Awesome, man. No, that sounds fantastic. Is it the Roam app going to be on both Android and iPhone, or just one of them?
At the moment, due to the limitation in the iOS, we only working on the Android,
Mm-hmm.
and the story goes that the iOS does not give to application access to this measurements data that we
Mm-hmm.
need, so to measure the actual receive or reference signals and power, indicator quality, and so forth. Again, why? I mean, we can ask Apple, but maybe users can complain to Apple and Apple can open it up. We have received some requests even to hack around a bit the iOS, so we can take screenshots of certain menus and then import them in the app, but it's not interactive enough, it's not real time. It validates a bit, it violates, not a bit, but it violates probably the terms of usage from the iTunes. So we stick for now to the Android in the Play Store. Arguably, arguably there is enough users having Android, so this should be enough for now. But again, if the community wants it and also operator want it, so most likely we're going to think how to hack it or how to make it in a sense that this could be possible.
Got it. One more question before we start wrapping up. I want to kind of get a high level answer as well to, I think, Web3 and maybe where that can take telecom networks. How do you see like the future of that shaping up now that we have technology around decentralization and Web3? Is it something that supplements networks in the future? Do you think it fully replaces it? How do you think it fits in?
Yeah, good question. I'm I don't have a crystal ball to see the future, but if you
Hmm.
look at the trends, most likely crowdsourced as it was known before, but now crowdsourced with an actual monetization option and capability to deliver the value, which is what Web3 brings, probably is going to reach significant market share in the next couple of years. Mind you, for telecom, couple of years could be 5 years or
Hmm.
even more. And significant market share here could mean more than 10%, so probably 10 to 30%. So what we could expect is that Roam networks or similar technology could reach 30% around of the actual value that would be served in the industry. Again, the telco business is about 900 billion value per year, and this is a
Hmm.
conservative number. So here we're talking about 300 billion value that could be served by the decentralized technology, and this is only one industry, right? I mean, we still have plenty of other industry that could be supported by Web3. So I think this is more than enough value that we can unlock here in our space. Even if it's not that high, I mean, still the value is significant enough for us to be present, and we believe that we can make a difference here. Not only because there is a value to be unlocked, but because there is a work to be done. I mean, with the decentralized technologies, places that were previously not connected now can be connected. People that previously had poor service now can determine or actually detect better the service, report to it, and to get their connection back up and running and improved, which was previously again very slow and tedious to do. And on top of it, even if they just use the ROM app, they'll be able to get a fair reward for the contribution. So it's only a positive outlook from that perspective. But it's would be not so simple. So of course, everything has to work in the context of time and space and what is allowed or not allowed to be done in the specific regulation. And we are fully committed to work and help for that. But of course, we need the community support. So this is a shout to everybody that wants to join. So let us know what you need in your market, and if you're really keen to do it, or what are we willing to do more than just install the app on the phone, and happy to take it in the backlog.
Awesome. Where can people go if they want to join the community? They want to be a part of Roam Network. They want to keep up to date, as these things get rolled out, such as the Roam app. Where should they go?
The simplest and probably the easiest to remember will be the roamnetwork.xyz. So one word, roamnetwork.xyz. On the website, we can see the actual links to our. Is it what's the official way? X now or Twitter or what do you say? Twitter,
I think it's
Discord,
X.
X. All right,
Technically
X.
X.
X. All right. So X account and the Discord, and you can also connect to us via any of the possible means, and watch the space. We can announce on our website and all the social media when we'll be ready with the actual app to be launched. But even now, we're looking for still for the late beta testers. So if any of your listeners want to actually join, please feel free to reach to us via the channels, and then we could happily give you a better version of the app so that you can actually start earning even earlier.
Perfect. Michael, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast today and talk about what you guys are doing with Roam Network, as well as how Web3 plays into telecom. I think it's a very interesting area, a very interesting niche and industry, and one that's, I think at this point, quite old that, needs to have an element like this to incentivize people, protect information, give people ways to earn, contribute. I think it's very fascinating. Very excited to see how that shapes up.
Thanks, Brandon. Thank you for having me, and yeah, appreciate the time to share this news about our project, and yeah, looking forward to collaborate more, and especially with your audience. So let's get in touch, and let's keep roaming. So
Likewise. Stay in touch, man. Take care. We'll talk soon. You guys, final message from our sponsor, Nitro Betting. Nitro Betting gives you so many options to bet, wager, and play. With the deep sports book from NFL to NBA to NHL, MLB, MMA, motorsports, poker, blackjack, esports, Rocket League, Call of Duty, there's plenty of diversity and choice. So go to nitrobetting.eu to experience everything they have to offer. All links are in the description for the episode, guys. See you on the next episode.